I rejoice in my sufferings. St. Paul says today, I rejoice. Yes, rejoice in my suffering. Really? Who of you has ever done that? Not sure that I have. So, yeah. What is going on here? St. Paul rejoices in his suffering. He gives a hint. He has discovered this mystery that I am filling up, he says, what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ on behalf of his body, the church. It is this mystery that Jesus allows us, in his great love and mercy for us, to have some small share as members of his mystical body in his saving and redeeming work, that we are able to, in our own sufferings and trials and difficulties, share in his, Jesus' suffering. Unite these sufferings that we experience to Christ, for the good of his body, the church, for the good of others, to somehow, in the mystery of his love for us, share and participate in his redeeming work. And so St. Paul, learning to live in this mystery, rejoices even in his suffering. Contrast this with Martha, who is experiencing the trial and suffering, I suppose, of hospitality, the burden that comes with this. Rather than rejoicing in her sufferings, she tells the Lord about how dissatisfied she is, and then proceeds to tell Jesus what he should do. Ooh, okay. That takes a lot of chutzpah to tell Jesus, this is what you need to do. This raises the question, how can I be a little bit more like St. Paul? If not rejoicing in my suffering, at least a little more accepting of my suffering, and a little bit less inclined to tell God what he ought to do, because obviously I know better than he does. I suggest a few things. First of all, it starts with following Mary in the gospel. She sits at the Lord's feet. She spends time with him. She attends to him, listens to him, and receives from him. My guess is this was also a two-way street, that Jesus himself listened to and attended to Mary and received from her. There was a dialogue, a conversation, a being together. This is important because often when I experience suffering and affliction, there is an insinuation in this that I am alone. There is no one with me. I just have to bear this on my own. Instead, I choose to honestly tell God about my experience. This is where Martha is on the right track. She is burdened, and so she tells the Lord that she is burdened. She does not, however, take time to receive how he wants to be present to her, how he wants to encounter her, and for her to encounter him as he is with her in this experience of some difficulty and trial. So I tell God about my suffering or my affliction or my trial or my difficulty, how it impacts me, maybe those around me as well, what I would like him to do about it, what I desire. And I take time, like Mary, simply to be with the Lord and receive from him whatever he wants to give. And this opens up the opportunity then to begin asking for the grace of acceptance. Not so much that I like what I'm experiencing, but I am able to accept that this is what is. This is what God is permitting in my life at this time. And I can then begin asking the Lord follow-up questions. Instead of getting hung up on why is this happening, ask, what do you want me to learn from this? How, Lord, are you calling me to grow in faith or hope or charity or other virtues through this experience? Where do you want me to focus in this? So that, like Mary in our gospel today, I am attending to the Lord, listening to Him. And then I can also make the choice to offer my afflictions, sufferings, difficulties, trials with the Lord, uniting them to Jesus on the cross for the salvation of the world, to share in some mysterious way in His redeeming work. We will pray over the offerings in a few moments that God will make this offering holy so that what each has offered to the honor of your name may benefit the salvation of all. Notice that, what each has offered. We never come before God empty-handed. You and I both have something to offer. When the priest turns after preparing the altar and says, "Pray that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God," that's not an idle phrase. You have a sacrifice to offer today. Maybe it is a trial or suffering. Maybe it's a joy. Maybe it's a sorrow. Maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's something of all of those. We're invited to place all of this on the altar, to be joined to the one sacrifice of Christ that is made present in the Eucharist and offered to the Father for the salvation of the world. That is the primary reason why we come to Mass, to offer ourselves with Jesus in His one perfect sacrifice to the Father. So what's your offering today? Place it on the altar, that it may be joined to Christ's sacrifice and be for the good of His body, the Church.